Once again, a gentle request to all the students to mute your microphone.
Sorry, Montfort School 10th DE ஆம்ல.
Good afternoon, Aditya.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Right.
How are you, sir?
Fine. Guest has come?
Yes, sir. She's just logged in. She came in once, but she had some connectivity issue, so she's gone out again.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
That's right. Thank you. Giri is there?
Yes, sir. He's here, sir.
Right. Okay.
தெரியுமா பேசுறது கேட்கணும்.
Students, a very good afternoon to all of you who are gathered here. So if your friends are not yet in, please do urge them to come in soon. So with this, students, kindly mute your microphones. Request all those who have joined in as of now to mute their microphones. We don't want any disturbance in between. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your understanding. So a very good afternoon to all of you and welcome to this session of the speaker series conducted by Illustro in association with Mrs. Sarnathan College of Engineering. So our attempt here is to bring in speakers from the industry to give all of you the industrial exposure that you need to develop a knowledge of the best practices and the soft skills that are required to succeed in today's business space. So with that, I'd also like to give you a brief introduction of our long association with Mrs. Sarnathan College of Engineering ever since last year. And it has been a very pleasant circumstance for all of us to be interacting with such a supportive institution. So we are an EdTech firm, which is based out of Chennai, been associated with Mrs. Sarnathan College of Engineering ever since the beginning of last year, as I had mentioned earlier. And we have conducted a lot of programs associated with the computer science and IT departments under the tutelage of our Revert principal and the Revert secretary. So Illustro as such runs a comprehensive skill building program that attempts to train college students in the latest technological platforms and prepare them for a fruitful career in today's competitive and constantly evolving industrial landscape. So we equip them with the soft skills and managerial equipment that is needed to succeed in today's job market. So we partner with educational institutions to create an engaging, personalized, adaptive, and holistic learning opportunity for the students of the program. So there have been a lot of milestones that we've achieved ever since we collaborated with Mrs. Sarnathan College of Engineering. We have currently over 400 students on the platform, including the fourth years who completed their final year project in association with us. Once again, a kind request to students to mute their microphone. Microphone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so as I was saying, so we began the program in April last year. We trained over 192 students for a period of 3 months, allowing them to work on real-life projects that involve developing practical applications to assist civilians in improving the quality of their lives and businesses in achieving critical objectives. So we had 4 teams with more than 100 students put together working from April 2020 to July 2020. We developed a wide range of applications, one to help internal sale of canceled clothing exports, a crowdsourcing application using Django to collect radical innovations from academicians, a co-creation tool for fashion technology, and an adaptive learning platform to teach technological concepts to students with an objective of spreading technical literacy. There were 12 other teams which worked under the combined supervision of Mrs. Illustro and the teaching staff of Mrs. Sarnathan College of Engineering, both from the IT and the CSE departments, on several projects ranging from building a biomedical AI advisor to designing business process software. So these students were given certificates of participation and internship by Mrs. Steer Clear Tech Solution, a sister concern, and the top 15 students from the group of 192 students were offered a subsequent paid internship with a Singapore-based food delivery startup for a period of 2 to 3 months. So from August 2020, we began our first batch of training for the students from the second, third, and fourth year. And we trained them in a wide variety of subjects, starting and not limited to design patterns, software engineering, web application development, Unix scripting, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. And students were also trained in the latest web and mobile development platforms through real-life projects, and were given personalized feedback sessions for preparation for interviews as well. So with this year, we have managed to create 2 events, which is of importance here, and I'd like to mention in this context, which is the statewide data science event that we conducted in association with the Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology, that saw attendance from more than 3,000 students across Tamil Nadu and India. And more than 65 colleges participated in the event, which involved bringing a lot of industry partners to teach students hands-on skills in various aspects of data science. And moving on, in the month of April 2021, we conducted the Fresh Minds event in association with Sarnathan College of Engineering. which involved the final year students presenting the projects that they had done through the program through a virtual project roadshow to more than 50 plus companies who attended the roadshow, resulting in a lot of placement opportunities and off-campus networking and research extension opportunities. We're happy to continue the association with the institution, and we hope that with the dedicated commitment of Illustro staff, along with the guidance and leadership of the management, of the principal and the revered HODs of various departments, we can make this program a profound success for the students so that it can benefit them in their path towards making a successful career in today's competitive landscape. So with this, I would also like to introduce today's speaker. So our speaker has also worked with us through Illustro. She has guided our students, and I'm sure that she must be a familiar face for many of you who are part of Illustro and its speaker series for over time. So we have been conducting the speaker series for the CSE and IT departments for students who are part of the program. So we have Mrs. Harshita Chaudhary here. She's the Organization Development and Talent Manager for Freshworks Technologies. So in her current role, she leads the portfolio with a focus on areas of performance management, engagement, and leadership development, while also acting as an HR leader for functions like finance, IT, HR, and marketing. Freshworks Technologies is an extraordinary company of SaaS technologies that provides opportunities to the best and creme de la creme minds to create innovation in the world of SaaS software. So we are privileged to have our podium with Harshita Chaudhary. She will be guiding us to various aspects of career preparedness and career readiness. And she is a veteran in the field. She has spoken to a lot of different institutions, both at the collegial and higher level, to guide professionals in creating a successful career ahead of them. So with that, I'd also like to mention that we as Illustro are very, very fortunate that we are associated with such a skilled veteran with an intent to help others in order to progress with their professions and to give them the right professional directive at the right time with us on board. And with that, I'll pass over the baton to the principal, sir, to give the officiating address for the session, and welcome Harshita on our behalf. Thank you, sir. Over to you, principal.
Thank you, Aditya. Very good afternoon to all, one and all present here. It is my pleasure to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Harshita Chaudhary, HR leader, Freshworks. In spite of his busy schedule, and also today is a Sunday, sparing her valuable family time, he is addressing our students. Thank you very much for that, madam. I once again welcome you, and I also welcome Mr. Aditya. Whenever we need a help, he always showing his hand up to help Sarnathan. Not only the Sarnathan means he is helping our students in developing their latest skills and technology. For that, I wanted to welcome Mr. Aditya. Whenever we discuss about the Freshworks or the fresh desk, right? Or I came through any word, the Freshworks, normally one person comes to my mind. Is Mr. Girish Mathrupudam, right? The CEO as well as the co-founder of that organization, right? He was my student. No. It is not a proud. I was his teacher during his undergraduation at Sastra University and then Shanmuga College of Engineering. I'm really proud of him because he has started his career in Zoho and other organizations, and he started one startup, and it has come in a very big way, right? I'm very proud teacher now, right? With that, this is another message for my students also, right? You can also come up like him, right? Further, for organizing the wonderful event, right? I thank Aditya, and I welcome Mr. Giriraj Kumar, the coordinator for this event, right? I welcome Giri, and finally, I welcome my students. At the same time, I wanted to advise all the students. People have come to the third year, right? Final year now, right? It's June. Normally, in the June month, in the normal days, it will be your seventh semester. Normally, during the seventh semester only, the industries will come for the recruitment, Right. One thing I wanted to convey, recent discussion with many HRs, all the MNCs are having good number to recruit. Only thing, how best you are presenting yourself, how best you are exceeding the expectation of the industries. Definitely, you can get a good opportunity with the help of the trainings, whatever we give in the industry or in the institution, as well as the training given by Aditya. Definitely, that will help you to become to get into good industry, good MNC, right? I wish you all the very best. I wish this event, right? Yeah, successful event. I think the madam, is having a lot of exposure, especially in the HR. Normally, our students face some problem in the HR entries only, right? Normally, they miss. Good students are missing in the HR events, HR entries only. So that whatever the she address during this address, during this workshop, definitely will help you to improve our HR skills so that you can get into good industry. Definitely in future also, we'll try to get her CEO also for this event. I think Giri Raj Kumar as well as the Aditya, with the help of Harshita, we can bring him here, right? So that it will be very useful for our students. Thank you very much. I welcome once again Mrs. Harshita Chaudhary for this wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the kind words, sir. Over to Harshita.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm having a little bit of problem with my network, so I'm not able to come on video. I will be on video as soon as I can. I hope that's okay, Aditya, because I don't want to disturb the
No
network.
issues at all. No issues.
So thank you so much, Aditya, and thank you so much, Principal Sir. It's always a pleasure to be talking to your students. I've had some interaction with some of them during the earlier sessions that I've had, and I think it's an outstandingly bright bunch of kids, and I'm sure they're going to do very well. What I'm
Thank you.
going to
Thank you.
try, thank you so much, sir, and we'll figure out a way how we can get G also to speak to the students at some point in time. Yeah,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
G is Girish for us. Yeah, so what I'm going to try doing in this session is that I spoke to some of you at some point in time in terms of how do you crack interviews, what's the communication, etc. you're supposed to have, and I'm hoping some of those inputs you're going to use as you go through your interviews, etc. What I'm going to do today is going to talk to you about some of the things that will be useful during your interviews and very, very useful as you make the transition from college to a corporate life, right? These things have always been very, very useful for me. And I'm going to talk about some of those to you because getting and cracking a job and going in the organization is only step one. What is important is how you're making use of that opportunity and how you're going to make sure that you're going to do everything to be successful in that opportunity and build a career in that organization, right? So I'm going to talk to you about some of those things. These are my learnings. I'm happy to get challenged. I'm happy to get your comments, and I'm happy to even talk through. Sorry, you'll hear a little bit of baby sounds. That's my daughter. So and let's keep this like a discussion. So talk to me during the session, talk to me at the end of the session, whichever thing. Any questions, any comments, very, very happy to get that feedback. Aditya, is my voice clear to you? Are you able to
very clear, very clear.
Okay. I'm going to just present my slides, Aditya. As I said, you have to enable me to present, Aditya.
Done, Harshita.
Okay. So Aditya, I've sent you my deck just in case I get into a little bit of issue because I do face issues on the weekend of network. I have sent you my deck.
I have it open, Harshita. Not an issue.
So in case I just go off the slides, I'll just request your help to do that.
No problem at all. Yeah.
Okay. Just let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it now, Harshita.
Okay. Just a sec. Okay, sorry for that. So what I'm going to talk to you about is what I call as people skills at work, right? I'm sure the college has prepared you very well in this area, but definitely done a very, very good job of preparing you in technical skills. But from the vantage point that I see as an HR person and a professional who's had some experience in the industry. With the technical skills, what we call as people skills are as important for someone's success. And let's sort of try doubling down on it and talking a little bit about it, right? So for me, what I have seen in my life and a lot of experiences of successful people that have been shared with me, there are two levers of success in life. Anything you do, whether you become an entrepreneur, whether you are in an organization, anywhere, there are two levers to success. Somebody's annotating on my slide. I'll just request not to annotate because the slide may not look okay when you do that, right?
Harshita, there's a way to disable annotations. I'm not able to do it since you're sharing screen. Can you click on view options on top, Harshita?
Okay, let me try, Aditya. Oh, that's okay. I think we've said it to students will take it.
Oh, sure.
So for me, any success in any part of life, whether it's your professional life, personal life, whether it's whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are working in a startup or a big organization, anything, there are two levers of success for me. One is about your aptitude, right? So what is the education you're having? What the kind of knowledge you're gaining through that education? What are the skills that you've got? What are the additional certifications you've done, internships you've done, industry exposures you've got, experiences that you've got, right? That all builds into our aptitude, and extremely important in life because aptitude, because aptitude is the crux of our knowledge, right? It prepares us to do whatever field we are in. It prepares us to do good in that field. So if I'm in HR, I need to know about HR domain knowledge, have experiences in it, do internships in it, right? Similarly for you, if you are in the technical side of education, your education about whatever side of engineering you're studying, the courses that you're doing, certifications, the kind of technical knowledge Aditya would have given you, all of that bundles up to become your aptitude. But from whatever I've seen, and if you logically think about it, you may have great aptitude, but till you don't have the ability to showcase that aptitude, which what I call in a very broad term is attitude. The ability to be able to showcase that aptitude is your attitude, right? And attitude is where you start interacting with people and conveying your aptitude, right? So for me, there are two important levers of success in life: aptitude and attitude. Attitude is all about how do you interact with people. Are you able to convey your thoughts? What's the kind of communication you're using? Are you self-determined? Are you able to portray that you're self-determined, self-motivated? Do you have a desire to excel, right? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not pushing the envelope, if you're not trying hard, if you don't have the burning desire to excel, your aptitude will just remain knowledge and never get converted to success, right? So just to start the conversation, aptitude and attitude are two important things for success in life. And today what I'm going to talk to you mostly about is how do you convey that aptitude in the form of a positive attitude at workplace, and some of the things which will come useful when you think of having a great attitude at workplace, right? So before I start, one of the most important things to think about is that after you get a job in an organization, you have to remember that we are always going to work with people. Gone are the days that you will just sit on your desk and keep coding. Yes, you will code, but what are you going to code? What is the back end of the product you're going to create? You will understand only if you're able to understand what that the product design team or the customer, etc., want from you. That's only what you're going to code. So it's very, very important that your ability to interact with people, right? Your ability to work with what we call as the important stakeholders for your job, right? Who can be the important stakeholders for your job? Your important stakeholders can be your boss or your supervisor, the person in whose team you are working, because whatever you do as part of an output of your work, that person is going to get directly impacted by that, right? Another person who can be your stakeholders, the other teams at work that interact with you. For example, if you look at me as an HR person, everybody in the organization is my stakeholder because I interact with everybody. So one of the very, very important things that I consider as the biggest learning and the biggest skill in an organization environment where you work with different people is is how will you manage stakeholders? You know, how will you work with stakeholders to have a positive impact on them, right? So let's look at some of the steps of managing and influencing stakeholders, right? The first one is stakeholder identification. So as soon as you get into your roles in an organization, make sure that you understand that who are the most important stakeholders for your work, right? Who are the people in other functions, except your boss, your team members who work with you? Who are the other people in the other functions who are your important stakeholders, who are going to get impacted by what you do, and you will also get impacted by what they do, right? So the first thing is identify them. Who are the important people? You can't have everybody being important, but there are going to be some handful of 5 to 10 people who will be very important for the success of your job, and everything that you do will also impact their success, right? So first thing is identify those people. If you're not able to identify on your own, ask your supervisor, who are the important people that I should take care of while I'm doing my work, because they will get impacted by me and I will get impacted by them, right? Then understand what are their interests. When I mean interest means here that what part of your job will impact them, right? What do you do in your job that will be of interest to them? Because if you do it well, their job will also get done, right? So find out what are their interests in your success, right? The third one is what is the approach to them, strategy and priority, right? Stakeholder management is almost like preparing a project, right? So you identify your stakeholders, you analyze their interests, and you then decide how is it that I am going to approach them? How is it that I'm going to influence them, right? You have to make sure that your important stakeholders by who are getting impacted by you, or you are getting impacted by them, you should also know how do you are able to influence them so that they positively impact your work. So what is the approach? What is the best approach? Some of the people are more data oriented, so do you need to show them data? Some more people are relationship oriented, so are you supposed to create good trusting collaborative relationships with them? So figure out what is the trick which works with every stakeholder. The fourth one is monitor your relationship with your stakeholders. So see how is it going. There are certain techniques you will put in place. For example, let's take the most important and the simplest of the stakeholder, who's your manager, right? You figured out that, sorry for that, you figured out that my manager is someone who's very data and insights oriented. So at every point in time that you will go have a discussion for something that you want to make happen, or you need the person's approval, you'll go with lots of data and lots of insights, because that's the style the person likes, right? And once you're putting that style in place and that kind of strategy in place, over a period of time, monitor and see, is everything going okay? Or is there something you need to change in that relationship to make it better? If all is going okay, that means your relationship is fine and your boss is able to understand and get influence positively. Okay? So monitor your relationship. When you're monitoring your relationship, make sure you keep taking feedback. A lot of times what we do is, when we set up a way that we manage people in an organization, we forget and we think everything is okay. At different points in time in your work, make sure you're asking people saying, is this happening okay? Do you want to do it differently? Is there something more that I should present to you? You should always take a feedback so that you can do those same things a little better. And in the space of a stakeholder, it is very important, because if they are expecting you to show something else or approach them a little differently, then you should take that feedback and ask for it. Okay, Karthika Devi, you're annotating on my screen. Could you not do it, ma, please?
Kartika Devi, please, man, don't do that. It's very distracting for the presentation.
Yeah, just try, Karthika. I think by mistake you might have pressed annotate. If you could please, if you could please do it a little, not do it, it'll be very helpful. So once you are taking feedback, so I'm again going to say this as a very important thing, is that whether it's a stakeholder, whether it's anything at work that you're doing, always make sure that you're taking feedback, right? Because you're dealing with people, and people's interests, people's expectations can change, and you should make sure that you're taking feedback to do your work better, whether you're managing a stakeholder or doing some work or trying to develop yourself, make sure you keep taking feedback to keep making your approaches to things better. Okay. The last one is, once you're taking feedback and somebody is saying, no, let's do it this way, this is a better way to do it, adapt to that style, adapt to that feedback, because when you respond to people's feedback and take it more positively, then you're able to build trust and more, build more trust and collaboration, right? Okay, before moving, do we have any questions now? Does anybody have any questions? Or should I keep moving? Sorry. Does anybody have any questions? Aditya, should I keep moving?
Let's move ahead, Harshita.
Let's
can deal with it.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay. So as I said, these are the ways that you should identify and manage a stakeholder, right? If you see, one of the important things that I said on this is the ability to positively influence the person, right? And when I say influence, is the ability to persuade the person in the direction that you want something to happen, right? So leading from here, that how do you manage stakeholders? One of the most important things is to influence them properly. So what I want you to take to the next one is, how do you influence someone, right? And believe it that across the experience that you have, whether you are a new person in an organization or whether you are someone who has experience, in all our jobs, in any function, we are always influencing people or persuading them to look at things in our way, or persuading them to agree to our proposal, to our solutions, etc. So it is very important to understand, how will you influence a person? What are some of the steps that you can do to influence? Now, understand this, when you're influencing someone, you're trying to influence someone who may have a very different point of view, is a different person. So the way you influence the person will depend on what kind of person is that, right? So let's look at some of those things. And I will talk you through this slide and I'll give you some examples, right? So first one is rational persuasion, right? And this one, I'm sure the people on this call will be very, very good at, because I'm sure, looking at logical arguments, data, factual evidence, insights, a lot of Excel sheets, etc., data, all of that you will be able to do very well. And it is very, very important that you make sure all the data, all the insights, all the logical arguments, all the facts available for influencing someone, for persuading someone, is the first thing that you should look at, right? To make your argument have a lot of weight, you should focus on what is the facts of the situation, what is the data available to prove those facts, what is the data throwing in terms of insights, and what is it that we need to do. I'll give you an example of this. This is a little bit of example from my space of work, which is HR, but I'll share an example. So when we talk about employee engagement in our organizations, one of the biggest things we do is to look at employee engagement data, right? Before I can go to a CEO and say, listen, I need to put together a huge manager training program because I feel the engagement that our managers do is not very well. The first thing I'll have to do is show the data to the CEO to say, why am I saying that the engagement is not very well? So what will I do? I will look at my engagement score. Then within that engagement score, I will see, okay, the area where a manager effectiveness is there, that area is not performing very well. But within manager effectiveness, what is it? Is it the communication? Is it people need better careers? What is it that the person is not doing? So what you have to do is, when you're trying to influence someone, make sure any data related to that stakeholder, to that situation, you're looking at all the data and finding out the right insights. Looking at data is one thing. Finding out insights or meaning from data is another thing, right? That is why I've written the first step is power of data. Okay. The second one is an inspirational appeal. Remember, your stakeholder is a human being like yourself, right? Everybody has their own values, ideals, and aspirations, right? Everybody has their own point of view. So when you're trying to influence a stakeholder, it is very important to understand their point of view, right? And that is why in the bottom of the slide, I've written a word called empathy, right? Empathy is the ability to understand the person's point of view. And when you're trying to influence someone, you should always give a lot of value, lot of respect to a person's point of view, and try making your argument in a way that you respect the person's point of view, and also try giving your point of view. So when you're trying to influence stakeholders, make sure that you are understanding their point of view and making an appeal to their values, ideals, or aspirations, right? So for example, carrying on the same example that I picked up, if I'm trying to influence for a big manager training program, I will tell the CEO, listen, the data shows all of this, but as you have said that we want to create an organization where people are happy, people want to work, then it is very, very important that I have a very strong set of managers who are able to develop people. So what am I doing? I'm trying to attach my argument to that person's value, ideals, aspirations, or goals. And I'm clearly telling the person that if you are able to, if you look at what solution I am giving, I will help you achieve your goal or your ideal or your aspiration. That can happen only if you have the empathy to understand the other person and other person's point of view. That is what we call moving from rational persuasion to inspirational appeal. You need to have both when you're influencing a stakeholder, right? The third one is as much important. It should not happen that you should go in and say that this is the solution and you persuade the person and say, okay, let's go and implement the solution. What you need to do is you need to tell the person that in this solution, there is going to be a joint ownership, right? When you're trying to influence stakeholders, make sure that you also tell them that you will be as involved in implementing or the proposal that you're taking, whatever it is. But make sure that you tell them that you are wanting to take their point of view and they are as much partners in doing what you want to do with them, right? And the last one is whenever you're trying to do something, you just 1 second, please. Just 1 second. Yeah. So the last one is, how do you make sure that once you have persuaded the person for what they want to achieve, you've made them an equal partner in achieving them, you make sure that you are there till the end for that proposal or change to happen. That means see it till the end. It should not be that stakeholders should see that you are coming and just giving ideas, persuading them, and you're not seeing the thing through, right? You're going to only gain respect with your stakeholders if you make sure that the change or the idea that you're trying to implement, you see it through the end and you show them results out of that, right? So from rational persuasion to inspirational appeal to consultation and joint ownership, and at the end, collaboration and making sure that you're seeing that everything, every proposed idea, change, etc., is seen to the end and there is collaboration through it and you achieve your results, right? Does it make sense? Any reactions, any questions? Are you able to understand what does influencing mean? Can I have a flash of hands or something that will tell me that you're listening and understanding? Because otherwise I'll keep talking. Anybody, students, are you there? Are you able to understand? I know it's a Sunday afternoon, but are you able to understand? Are you able to think how you will use influencing in your roles and even in your current college, etc., how you can use it? Are you there with me?
I think they're raising hands, Ashita.
Yeah?
I mean, they have that icon raising hands and thumbs up.
They are able to do that?
Yeah, yeah. You can see that next to the participants, it will be visible.
Oh, sorry. I think I'm on the thing, so I'm just.
Yeah,
okay, I just want to make sure the folks are understanding, and if they have any questions, they should keep asking me. Yeah.
So students, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. When she finds a gap, Ashita would be happy to answer them. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to cover. I'd be happy to keep having conversations so that we are sort of doing our thoughts at that point in time. Okay. So I'll keep moving, Aditya, but
sure.
I'll be open to take questions even in the middle of the slide.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Just a moment. Okay. So now one of the simplest things and one of the things that all of us know is very, very important. Whether it's college, whether it's work, whether it's home, whether it's a team, whether you're leading a team or you're part of team, being a good team player is extremely important. I know a lot of us has read about it. A lot of us are a good team player, but I wanted to just bring out some of these things over here again. Because remember, in the world today, whether it's a virtual world or whether we are at office working, none of us works in silos, right? So your ability to be a contributing and a good team player in an office environment is extremely important, right? And what I've done here is just quickly sort of laid it out to you. I'm sure all of you are very much aware of this, but just like a quick recap of what does it mean to be a good team player. Reliable. A good team player is extremely reliable, right? If you're part of a team and you're not, and somebody cannot trust you, or somebody cannot think that, they can rely on you if something goes wrong or if they need support, then you will not play a role of a good team player. So reliability is one of the most important things. Strengths and weaknesses. The other thing a team player does is that a team player is very much aware of what are their strengths and weaknesses, and what are the strengths and weaknesses of the team, right? It is very, very important that as a team player, you are aware of both. Because when you are aware of your strengths and weaknesses, you will know where you can pitch in and really support the team, or where are areas that you might need to be led by someone else. Okay. Just one second. Okay. The third one is, yes, in teams, a lot of times we feel, why is that person leading a team and I'm not leading a team, right? Why is that person in charge and I'm not in charge? So in a team, every team player plays different roles. So at some point in time, you may be the leader of the team. And when you think you have the right capabilities for it, and you are the best person in the team for it, of course, do a conversation with the other team members. But if you think you can lead the team through any situation, you should step forward and lead the team. Sometimes you may be the person who will give a lot of ideas in the team, right? That may be your role. Sometimes you may be the person in the team who brings the whole team together, is the collaborative glue in the team. So in a team, you can play different roles, and in different situations in a team, you play different roles. Who is bigger or smaller in a team doesn't matter. It is important that together as a team, you achieve the goal, right? So if there is a need to play different roles at different points in time as part of the team, assume those roles and don't stick to just one of those. Yeah. Yes, this is a very important one for me. Honest and sensible in feedback. That means when you are part of your team, one of the biggest responsibilities that we have is to be able to give honest feedback to our team members, right? Because ultimately, all of us are trying to achieve the goal of the team, right? So it is very important that you give honest feedback, but I have used the word sensible over there. Your feedback should be in a way that you're helping the person move forward, right? Not just telling the person, this is not good what you do. You should say, maybe you need to look at this situation like this because it may help you perform better. Your feedback always has to be honest, but with sensibility and what we call as feed forward. What is it that a person can do with your feedback? I'll again appeal over here, students, that as you join the workspace, whether you are in a team or you're talking to your manager or you're talking to a peer, or one day when you start leading people, remember giving feedback, but giving feedback in a way which inspires positive action, which makes the person move forward, is the most important. Okay.
Sophie, can you please stop annotating on the screen, Ma? This is not fine. We've told you multiple times.
Sophie, are you by mistake doing it, or do you want to say something?
I doubt it. She's written her name. Okay. I request the HODs to probably look into it. Sophie, can you please stop annotating on the screen? It's very difficult to present if you keep doing this.
Yeah, Sophie, it just distracts my screen a little bit. And what I've written sort of goes away, but I'll manage, but just try not to do that.
Harshita, can we clear this one? It's already scribbled on a lot of parts of this.
How do I do that, Aditya? I'm just being very, very conscious of not doing something wrong.
No issues. Just look at the top of the screen. You'll see a green bar which says you're viewing, you're sharing your screen.
Yes, I can see the annotate feature over there.
Yes,
should I
you have to click on. No, you have to click on annotate. First of all, you can, if you look at the annotate, you can see clear screen. If you click on annotate, you can see the
clear, huh? Clear
Yes.
all drawings.
Yes. If you do
Okay.
that, and
Done.
then what? Yes, and then what you have to do is disable annotation. So you can just click on.
Disable. Where is disable?
So you close that box for the annotation.
Okay, let me close the box. Done.
And then go to the top corner, view
More.
options. Yes.
Disable annotation.
That's
Done.
it. That's
Done.
awesome.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Aditya. That's my learning for the day. I haven't done that earlier.
No issues.
So feedback is a very, very important tool, whether you are in a team or not. But remember, feedback should be in a way which should inspire positive action. We should help people to move forward. Okay. Remember this throughout your career in life, whether you're taking feedback or you're giving feedback. Okay. Sorry, one sec. A keen listener. A team player is also a very keen listener. Any person should be a keen listener, but a team player, a good team player is a keen listener who's constantly trying to figure out how is it that I can help the team move forward? What are the people in the team feeling? How can I support them to do their best? How can I support them to feel comfortable in the team? So a team player is also a very keen listener, right? The last one for me, we have a comment. Just one sec. Okay. Okay. The last one is, yes, problem solver. A team player is someone who has good ideas and is always looking at providing a solution to the team, right? A team player, that is why, as my screen says, is a fixer, is someone who finds solutions, is not someone who just keeps bringing problems, right? But is someone who really finds solutions. So I just wanted to bring out to you, I know there's not very different things that I'm saying, but being a good team player is one of the most important things that all of us have to do across our careers. I do it even till now, and I have to remember how I can constantly be a good team player and keep adding to my team. Yeah. Moving forward, so we've spoken about what I call is as social skills, which are going to be useful when you go to workplace, right? So whether it is about your ability to manage a stakeholder, whether it's about your ability to influence a stakeholder, whether it's about your ability to be a great team player, right? For me, these three are extremely important when it comes to having the right, what I call as the attitude for work, right? Converting your aptitude to a great attitude. All of these three are really going to help, right? Now, what I thought in the next section is I'd like to share with you what are some of the powerful mindsets, what are some of the things that you can train your mind to have as you go to the workplace. And these are going to be very useful even when you give interviews, right? Because imagine this, that if there is an interviewer who's coming, a company who's coming, who already is able to see through your answers or through your reactions in an interview, yes, this person is a little more ready than the others for a job, it is going to be very useful for you, right? So these are some of the mindsets which may come in useful even during your interview, as you think of your answers, as you think of things that you want to say, and you can use it during interviews, but definitely it's going to be very, very useful as you go to your workplace, right? These are again some of the things I think that I have learned and are again have been very useful for me, right? Should I keep moving? Do you have any questions right now? Any questions, students? Any comments? Anything?
I think you can go ahead, Ashika.
Okay. So the first one, and I have, the first one is what we call as the ability of design thinking. And I picked it up from the net because I really liked the way they had put it together. But design thinking is nothing but being able to very logically look at any problem. So whether you look at a problem in the technical side of things, or you look at problem in my world, which is about people and human resources, etc. Design thinking, the ability to break a problem and and go step by step as to how you're going to find a solution is something that will really come in handy. And even for me, though design thinking sounds more technical, but even for me as a professional in human resources, this really comes into use. So imagine this, that you have been given a problem to solve, right? there are three things that you should do in any situation or for solving any problem, right? First is to understand the problem, and we'll thread it out later, but let's talk about the three things. Understand the problem, explore the problem, and whether you use it materialize or test, you test the problem, you test the solution. So understand the problem, explore all possible solutions, and then test the solution and implement. That's really materializing. When we use the word materializing, it's basically that you test and implement to get to your result, right? So design thinking says that any situation, any problem, whether it's people related, product related, technical related, can be divided into three parts, which is understanding the problem, exploring the problem, exploring the solutions, and really materializing or implementing the best solution that you can look at, right? Now, in understanding a problem or a solution, remember, even if you are coding in an organization, you will have to understand the problem from a user's point of view. I can give you a very clear example. I work in a SaaS product company, right? We make products using software as a service, right? When my engineer sits down and codes for a particular product, that person cannot give the best code out till they are able to fully understand what is the customer wanting. What does the customer want? What is the main issue am I trying to solve for the customer? That is why we've used this word earlier also, empathize. That means the person who's going to use this product, right? What is the main thing that we need to solve for them, right? So empathize or understand the problem from their point of view, from the customer's point of view, right? For example, I'll give you an example again in my area. When someone comes and tells me, okay, I want to develop this manager, right? I ask them that, what is it that you want me to develop in the person? What is the ultimate goal? What are you trying to achieve, right? And that is how I understand that what is the real problem. So you have to look at a problem and understand what impact or positive result does the user want, and look at the problem from their point of view. Okay. The second one is defining the problem. So one is about knowing the problem and figuring out where it is coming from and empathizing with the user, or in my case, a manager or a leader, etc. The second one is defining the problem very, very clearly. Okay. So as the thing on my slide says, combine all your research and observe where your users' problems exist. So people will come to you and say a problem in a way that will be very broad. So you have to get the crux of it. You have to very clearly define what you are trying to get to. That's the second point of defining understanding a problem as part of design thinking, right? The second part of design thinking is exploring all solutions. And here, students, I'm going to be talking about one more related thing when we think of exploring solutions. A lot of times, we look at a problem from our point of view, right? And we come up with a solution. That is our job, right? But we forget that there may be more solutions than the way we are looking at it, right? So when you're trying to explore solutions, you should make sure you explore every kind of solutions, whether it's big, small, difficult, not difficult. And you also should make sure that if you think someone else may have a better idea of a solution, you should reach out and get those solutions, right? Because you have to make sure that you've looked at everything, every possible solution before zeroing down to one, right? That's called ideating, right? Exploring all solutions. The second one is, after you've ideated, looking at what is the most probable solution which will get you the maximum impact. Here it's written like prototyping, which basically, I'm sure all of you know what prototyping means, but prototyping in a very simple language for me in HR would mean is zeroing down on that idea which is going to be the most useful for me. So build real tactical representations of a range of your ideas. So which categorizing your ideas and zeroing down on the one which is going to be the most useful. And once you've done prototyping, as you know, we go ahead and implement that idea. Sorry for that. Implement that idea for a subset of our customers, right? Remember, in all organizations, whether you are working in my function or any other function or a product function, we don't come up with an idea and go whole scale and invest a lot from the organization to do it full scale. right? We will always come up with the idea, try with a set of consumers, users, or for me, for example, a set of people in the organization, see what the idea is getting to, is it getting me the desired results, and then only go ahead and implement it full scale, right? So after you've zeroed down the idea, you try it and prototype it with some set of people within the organization, or a set of your customers, or a set of your product marketing people, or whatever you are, in whichever space you are. You then go ahead and take feedback from your stakeholders, right? So they have tried your idea and they will give you, just one second, 476937. 937. So after after you've prototyped it or used it on a smaller set of people, or for me it's really testing it, then you get return to your users for feedback. Go ahead and get feedback from your people, use that feedback to further sharpen your idea, and go ahead and implement whatever you want to implement on full scale, right? Remember, everything that we do today, it's a lot about speed in the organization, right? So you have to balance between speed and the ability of an organization to do something new, right? So the best way to do it is come up with an idea, try with a smaller set of people, quickly get their feedback, and then show data and results of it and go ahead and implement, right? So again, design thinking in any situation, in any kind of function, is one of the very, very important things that we are expecting people to have, because not only does it help us in logically looking at a solution and getting to logically looking at a problem and getting to a solution, but it also helps in quickly figuring out a solution, trying it on a smaller set of people, getting the right feedback, achieving the right results, and going ahead and implementing it full scale. Because remember, every organization only has a certain set of resources. They can put those resources only when they are seeing that there are enough good results. 467937. 467. Just 1 second, please. Just take this. Okay, so so that's one. Any questions till now, or should I keep moving? Any questions? Are you able to understand? Am I making sense? Can you give me a can you respond to me so that I know that you're able to understand and it's making sense? Any response?
Students, if you're all good to go, just give a thumbs up or a yes, ma'am, or anything of that sort to help. Come on, guys.
Yeah, Aditya, can we proceed it further? We can have the sessions as the agenda has been shared. They may have a questions at the end of the session. So I think Harshita can proceed, please.
Sure.
Okay, makes sense to me. But everybody's very silent, so that puts me in a little bit of a chip up. So that's why I asked. Okay. 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 Can everybody be muted, please?
Yes, it's done, Harshita. You can go ahead.
Okay. The next very important one is about growth mindset, right? Very simply put, growth mindset is a very, very important capability which is coming up, which will be very important for anybody who's specifically going to enter the workforce at this point in time, right? And when I say this point in time, is when it's all virtual. You may not be able to interact with your seniors or your team members or your peers as much as you would like to, right? And that is why it is very important to have a mindset, right, which will continuously make you keep moving forward. And just give me one moment and I'll take you through what really growth mindset means. Yeah. Just this part. Right? Growth mindset is basically saying that I have the capability to be able to look at things more positively and keep moving forward, right? All of us, and I'm going to just take the context right now of today's environment. There are so many things which are happening in today's environment which are very unexpected, right? We never thought all of us will study virtually. I never thought that I will work virtually for my organization for almost more than a year. So all of those things have put us in a situation where we all are constantly looking at different things which are happening. A person who has a growth mindset is always looking at positive things and is thinking that within every situation, how is it that I can keep learning and moving forward? A growth mindset is what we call different or opposite to a fixed mindset, right? If you remember in a lot of conversations that we've had today, in almost every slide I've said that it is very important to look at other people's point of view. It is very important to make sure that your mind is open to different things that can happen, different solutions that can come up, right? So growth mindset is really an opposite of a fixed mindset, right? And a growth mindset simply says four things on this slide and a couple of other things that I'll point out to you. It says that my capability, whether attitude or aptitude, is not limited, right? And I can keep getting better, smarter, and keep adding to my attitude and aptitude. So that's part number one, that I can keep getting smarter. That is the basis of growth mindset. It doesn't say that your aptitude or attitude is fixed, right? And when you think that you have the capability of keeping to get a capability of getting smarter, smarter is just the word to say better at skills, experiences, or better than what I was yesterday, your mind will look at how will you do it. So the first thing that you will do is you will make learning as your goal, right? Because how can you become better or more skilled or smarter? By learning, right? Constantly looking at what can I add to my aptitude, what are the courses, what are the skills, what are the certifications, in lustro kind of courses or experiences that you can get to increase your aptitude. So you will keep learning there. And similarly on your attitude, how can I experiment to be better with people? How can I communicate better? How can I keep developing my attitude? So both is where your learning goals will come in place. Even me and Aditya, having so much of experience and having worked in so many organizations, I learn every day. And to be honest, that every quarter I have learning goals for myself, right? Because again, learning is a huge ocean that you can keep exploring. But most importantly, in today's world, right, it is very important to keep adding to your skills and experiences, right? Because there's always something new which keeps coming. So if you have a growth mindset which at the base of it you believe that you can get smarter and nothing is fixed, aptitude and attitude is not fixed, you will make learning as your goal. That will be the first output of such a mindset. The second one will be efforts make me stronger. So all of us have to move towards results. All of us have goals in life, but you have to make efforts towards it. You have to excel at it. One of the biggest attitudes to have is to say, I will not only do well or I will not only finish this, but I will excel at it, right? I will put the efforts to be the best at it, right? So putting the right efforts, putting more than required efforts to excel is going to be the second part of what will come from a growth mindset, right? And what both learning as a goal and efforts will lead to is I'd spend more time and work harder, right? All of this will lead to that. And logically, if you're having learning as your goal, increasing your aptitude and attitude, and you're also making efforts more and more to be the best, it will make sure that there is higher achievement, right? So one of the things, students, I'll again appeal to you. This is the third thing that I'm saying through our session, is that always make sure that you're trying to become better than what you were earlier. A lot of times we think that, I've gained this much of experience and now I know everything and I don't need to learn, right? In today's world, learning is going to be the biggest success lever for you because everybody keeps learning and there are so many things which are coming in today's world. If we keep learning and keep adding to our skills of attitude and aptitude, you will make sure that you are being successful and you're ahead of the others in terms of what they know, etc. And you're able to also contribute to the organization more and get personal achievement, right? So don't think that your knowledge or experiences, etc., that you got is fixed, but develop a growth mindset. I have just put it very simply here for you. But what I'd like you to do is there are so many big leaders and people who, yeah, what is the word we have, influencers in the environment who've written about growth mindset, and I'll really recommend all of you to read more about growth mindset, right? Again, in today's virtual environment, growth mindset has become one of the most important things, right? Because in today's virtual environment, one of the biggest things that we can do and inspire ourselves is by saying, I will keep getting better and I'll keep getting smarter, right? I've just very simply put some of the things that you should think of. If your mind is thinking a certain way, reorient your mind to think a little differently. For example, if you hear yourself thinking, I can't do this, okay? Growth mindset, so the fixed mindset will say, I can't do this. A growth mindset will say, I can't do this yet. That means I can work on it and get to a stage that I can do it. The reality now, maybe I can't do it. But if you work on it, if you have learning as your goal, if you have the mind which says that I can get smarter, and this is not my limit, my limit is way above this, right? You will say, I will get to it. I can't do it not yet, but I will get to it and I will do it, right? Again, if you hear yourself thinking, I'm no good at this, right? So I'm not good at this. I can't communicate. So I can't be as fluent as communication, or I can't present very well. If you hear yourself thinking at this, your growth mindset, if you have a mindset which is a growth mindset, it will tell you, I can become better at this. I'm not good at it. I'm no good at this. So mind, if you have a growth mindset, will tell you, I can become better at this. Remember, a growth mindset is a habit. It generates and it comes over a period of time. And again, I'm telling you, students, in a virtual environment, as you will join organization and you will join them virtually, right? You may not be able to experience the work environment like we did when we joined, right? It will sometimes be a little difficult for you to keep yourself motivated, right? Because you've not seen your manager, you've not worked in the organization, you've not met your peers, your teams, etc. And the company is not able to do a lot of things that they would do when you're in office for engagement. At that point in time, having a growth mindset to move on, being able to positively look at things and influence yourself is going to be very, very important, right? And the third thing, suppose if you hear yourself asking, what grade did I get? You ask yourself instead, what can I do to improve? Right? So if you say, the growth mindset just says that nothing is fixed, everything can be moved forward, everything can be made better, right? That's really what growth mindset talks about. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is about change mindset, right? This is another very, very important thing, which is specifically very, very true in today's environment, right? Things are changing rapidly. Just one second. Things are really changing rapidly. And a lot of us are expected to deal with that environment, right? And whether it's the current virtual environment or whether it's normally at work, if you are in an organization like mine, which is moving at a very fast pace, a lot of things will keep changing and people will be expected to have the agility or the adaptability to change, right? And to be honest, when we today interview candidates to be part of our organizations, one of the biggest things that we look in them, and try understanding from their answers is, do they have the flexibility and the ability to change, right? How soon will they be able to do that? Because all the environments of work today have become environments which change very rapidly, right? It's not only just the COVID environment or the virtual environment. Any organization wants to achieve a lot today in a shorter span of time, right? So one of the mindsets or one of the things you have to be very open for is going to be change. Change, as they say, will always exist, right? Change is indispensable, right? Change will exist. And the more and more as people you can keep adapting to change, it will be helpful. So what are some of the things which help when it comes to change mindset? One is resilience, right? So things will keep changing. You should keep adapting to them and be resilient. That means go through that change. Even if it's a little tough, you should have the capability to just go through it. Lot of changes happening. Your managers will change, your teams can change, Tomorrow your customer comes back and says, no, I don't want the product like this. Can you change the coding for it? Can you change the base of it? Whatever in technical terms it means. You should have the resilience to go through that change and not get let down by it. Never get let down. Let change happen. Let things go through. But you should have the capability to move from one change to the other. The second one is adapt. Very simply, but important thing around adapting is not only adapting, but adapting with speed, right? Today we are expected to keep adapting to different situations, but adapting with speed. Do you have what we call as agility? Agility means quickly adapting to situations and changing your mindset, right? So while you adapt, while you're flexible, can you have speed while adapting, right? The third one is, if you can be someone who is resilient and adapts to change faster, you will be seen as someone who can lead change. A lot of organizations are today looking at people who find it easy to change, who find it easy to lead change, right? They don't only change themselves, but they also collaborate with others. They also inspire others to change. They also help others to change, right? So become a leader of change in your organization, right? Self-motivated. Again, this is another very important thing that is becoming a consideration even when we are hiring people, and we have our own ways of sort of figuring this out from the conversations we have from people who sit for the interview, is being self-motivated, right? And in today's environment, again, virtually, and this is going to exist for some point for some time, a lot of organization may not fully go back to the office. They may have what we call as hybrid workspace, where some of us still work virtually. Self-motivation, or keeping yourself inspired, okay? And self-motivation gets fueled very highly by growth mindset, right? If you're constantly thinking, how do I need to improve? What can I add to myself? How can I keep motivating myself? One of the things that will happen is to keep motivating yourself and be self-motivated. Also, because organizations are today not able to engage people in the office, right? We are all sitting virtually. So it is very important that we have people in the company who can keep themselves inspired and motivated, right? Change mindset also means someone who's more solution oriented, right? Someone who's constantly looking at how to solve things, right? Because change, when it happens, it can be difficult for people. It can make you feel uncomfortable, right? And people sometimes forget to find solutions of being comfortable with change. So if you are in a change situation, and a lot of times you will be in a lot of change situations, right? Always have a very solution oriented mindset, right? And the last thing is communicate, right? And when I write communicate here related to changes, if you have questions about why things are changing, if you have a better solution when things are changing, if you are leading change, you can communicate to make sure others are inspired. So a lot of things get solved in any change scenario, in any change you want to bring in an organization, when you keep communicating, right? Keep asking the right questions, right? Because it will help you adapt to change better. It will help you adapt to change better, and it will also make sure that you're understanding why change is happening, right? And also, if you're leading change, it will help you inspire people, right? Just a moment, Aditya.
Sure, Rachita.
Sorry, just a little bit of disturbance of being at home.
No problem at all.
So the last one is communicate. So for me, I wanted to bring out change mindset in the end, because again, change mindset is a very, very important piece, because and it is an important skill, not only for people like me in HR, because we do a lot of change and we lead a lot of change in the organization, but change mindset is important for anybody who is in any function, because things are changing at a very fast space. And how is it that you can have a mindset which will help you thrive in that environment, right? Aditya, this is what I had prepared for the team today. So I'll be open to take any questions or any comments, etc.
Sure.
Right? Because I don't want to keep it more than about 1.5 hours because it becomes too much on Zoom. So
I understand. Yeah, no, not an issue. So students feel free to drop in the questions as Dr. Giri has mentioned in the chat box, and we'd be happy to post questions which are relevant to the speaker. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Aditya and Mr. Shashita, a very good afternoon to everybody. Still, the questions may keep rolling. On behalf of our students, I would like to put a question to start with.
yes.
How do my students get into Freshwork, understanding that we do not have a campus drive?
Okay, sir, so I may not be the best person to answer that question for Freshworks because I'm not someone who leads the campus piece of Freshworks, but the best way to get into an organization like Freshworks is to make sure that what your students can offer in terms of the skills, in terms of differentiators compared to other institutes, if that can be highlighted to the right person in Freshworks, I'm sure we can make a very strong case for Freshworks to come to your campus. Because we do go to campuses in Tamil Nadu, and that's one of the things that I think can happen. And we do take people from colleges who will take as interns or graduate trainees, and then they get absorbed in the organization.
So kind of you to moderate about it. As an enthusiastic question, no? This has popped into the mind. Huh? Thank you very much. Dear students, you can just try to put forward your questions. Either you can directly unmute and talk, or you can just put up in the chat box so that I can respond on your behalf too.
Absolutely. Dr. Giri, I'd like to add to the point that Harshita just mentioned. I guess in order to attract the attention of not just Freshworks, of the top product-based firms, one of the key differentiators that students have to showcase is their portfolio of real-life projects that they've done. And I think that is one of the major aspects that companies today are looking out for. The authentic voice that justifies that he or she is the ideal candidate for a position. Because everyone has more or less the same CGPA and the same curriculum. So what is the differentiating factor is what most product-based firms are looking out for. And Freshworks is no exception in that regard.
Yeah, well said, Mr. Aditya. Point very well taken and understood. And to just keep the ball rolling out, I'd like to put up a couple of more questions on my students' behalf. Well, for a person who is not very good in terms of the communication skills with regard to speaking up and writing up very good, what would be the possible positive options that can be getting him into the corporate world, irrespective of software industry or any other industry? How to start with? As a HR person, having so much of experience and working and dealing with multiple people, how can you try to give that X factor for the students who may be in the average or below average category, for them to have a push, for them to have a trigger? After all, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your advice, please, Mrs. Harshita.
Okay. So my point, whenever somebody asks me a question on communication, is that we cannot be 100% in everything, right? So I may not be great at communication, but I may be great at something else, right? I may have an extremely logical mind, right? Or I may be a great solution finder, right? One of the biggest advices I give to my own self and to anybody who talks to me is find your strength, right? Today's world, sir, is about doubling down on your strengths, right? Rather than beating yourself up about your development areas.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Everybody doubles down on your strength. So suppose I'm someone who has average communication, right? But my mind is extremely logical, right? My mind is fantastic. Okay, it finds solution. The journey between having a solution mind to conveying that is where communication comes. Communication is the vehicle of communicating my mind, right? My ideas, right? It's just a vehicle. It is not the most important thing, right? So as an HR person, I can tell you this, sir. What we look for is that in your simple words, right? Are you able to communicate your thought to me? I don't need to know that you have a flair for communication. I don't need to know you know great English, right? Even using simple words, can you communicate your thought, right? So that's one thing I will say, sir, just as a base. And I've interviewed for about 10, 12 years now. We have moved from saying somebody needs to talk in great English to saying, can somebody simply and clearly tell me what they are thinking, right? The second thing is, sir, one of the biggest appeals I have to colleges or even as organizations is that communication also should be the biggest focus of what we tell people to develop on, right? Because as you go forward in your career, ability to communicate clearly is one of the biggest things one should have, right? It's not the end of everything, but it is an important thing, especially when you start becoming a manager or a leader, etc., etc. So one should keep working on that, right? But one should never feel that if I can't communicate well, I'm not going to make it, right? So that's the two things I'll say, sir. It is a very important skill one should keep working on, but one should first find out what is my strength, right? And with my average communication, can I use my strength very well?
Beautifully taken forward, ma'am. Yeah, students, we are just keeping on rolling about it for you to come out with your questions. It's not my personal questions, dear friends. It is for you people. Sorry, ma'am. It's just about the ice breaking, and these kids have not been into the institution for almost a year plus. And this is the first of the kind in which they are into the series of talks.
I'm also happy to answer if you have questions on how to crack an interview or anything around that. Anything as an HR person you think I can be of support, I'm happy to do that. Your silence makes me a little worried. Either you
no, they are privately texting me. I'm having some lot of in my screen. I do have some text. We do have a different group, and some questions are coming in. So that's what I just wanted to pop out. Okay, so. Yeah, students, I do have a few questions. I would like to hear your voice if somebody else wants to pop out. If you, I want to give you the privilege of just trying to talk in a crowd, which is a fantastic crowd of 400 plus, almost reaching to 500. Breakout here, don't fear. Fear is one of the biggest hurdles in trying to bring out the best of your abilities is concerned.
Yeah, and if you unmute and talk to me, I'll also, be able to sort of look at all of you, respond to all of you. Sorry, I've just come on video. My network seems to be a little okay. Behind my son's drawings are there, so just please ignore. So I'd be happy to, if you unmute and talk to me, it'll give me a lot of joy of the fact that you've heard and that made sense.
Okay, Mrs. Achita. Anyway, just I'll keep up a few questions. So we need to go on for ending the session too. Your time is also very much valuable. Your kid is also there. With a couple of questions from my things, I do have around 15 to 20 questions. I just would like to screen it up and bring in the best. Say, for example, I'm getting failed. I cracked the test. I cracked the test a couple of times and I tried to create myself into the interview. And at that particular instant of time, I am not able to speak out, which in a few minutes, since these are students who have not come to the college for almost 1.5 years, if in that place I'm not able to break the ice, how bad I will be evaluated is one question from a student.
Okay. So I'm not going to take away the fact that it will be very important to use the opportunity of the interview to communicate your knowledge, right? And I can understand it's a little tough, more so in a virtual environment, right? So one of the biggest things, so you will be evaluated in an interview of what you do in the interview, right? As I said, your aptitude on your CV and your aptitude to your test is something that they have understood and you've reached the level for an interview. But your evaluation in the interview will be on what you do in the interview, right? And I completely agree. It's not that simple these days virtually, and we've not been on campus. Like for me, I've not been at work. Sometimes it gets even difficult for me to do presentations, etc., right? But one of the things that I can say is that prepare, right? There is no going away from the fact that you need to prepare for your interviews, right? Prepare your answers, think of probable questions that they can come in, and most importantly, find out a way to calm yourself, right? Find out a technique that will help you calm yourself just before when you're going into an interview. Is it something positive that you can think? One of the things that works for me is I always, before going into a good presentation or an interview, etc., I think that I have cracked it. I've done very well, right? I really tell my mind I've reached a stage where I've done very well, right? So it is very important that you calm yourself, do some mindfulness activities, as they call it, and really prepare very well to preempt what may be asked in an interview. If you're prepared well and you preempt it, right, you will be able to speak. And just think, this is one another thing that we think we get under stress, is that we think I have to perform very well, I have to, and you have to. There is no two ways about that. And but the company, as much as trying to sell themselves as you are trying to portray a good thing, the company is also trying to sell themselves. So understand that both sides are playing an important part. So don't get stressed that only you have to perform. The company and the people who are there on the other side are also trying to perform and take the best people. So come under no kind of stress, right? And anything is not the end of life. There is more life after everything, right? So just be yourself, be honest to yourself, practice being calm, and prepare for your interview, right? Nothing beats preparation. If you're prepared, if you've preempted questions, you will be able to answer them, right? So that's what I will say, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. Now the questions are flooding into onto my side. Now I think I have to do the moderator. Ma'am, 2 more questions. I think we can end the session, right?
Sir, I have time, so not a problem. I have another 20 minutes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, Aditya has put down, and we are a little bit ahead of the schedule also.
Yeah.
Well, the next question comes into a very common question. Almost 5 I have got it in a different manner. But the point is, I do understand. The question is, madam, I do understand that, yes, all these X, Y, Z are very important. I need to do all these stuff. But when I try to sit down and try to do all those stuff is concerned, something pulls me out. I said, okay, I can do it later. Procrastination. Probably they have not used the word, but procrastination. How can I avoid it? I know very well I'm facing a problem of not able to sit at least for 30 to 40 minutes at a stretch on a work. Can you help me out?
Sure. And this is a very common problem or concern that a lot of us are having, especially in the virtual environment. Because imagine this, you're not sitting at your workplace, right? You're not sitting in an environment where you're just supposed to do work, right? You're sitting at home, right? There are so many distractions which can happen at home. You're not at your workplace to enjoy time with your team members. You're not at a workplace to get guided by your team members. So one, this is a common problem. This is not just a person's problem or a set of people's problem. It is a common problem for everybody, right? 1 or 2 things that you can think of while trying to get through this is that, one, you are supposed to take breaks. So if your mind is 30 to 40 minutes focused, then make sure that after 30 to 40 minutes, you tell that, my mind needs a break. So go do that break in 5-10 minutes and come back. Okay. First, don't push yourself to do something that's not natural to you, right? Because in this environment, it will be very tough, right? Second thing is, if you're doing something which really inspires you, you're enjoying to do it, right? Then you will really sit down at a stretch and do it, right? Procrastination is a common problem, but if you're inspired to do what you're doing, you enjoy doing what you're doing, you will want to finish and see the results. Only when you finish something will you see results, will you get the high of achieving something, right? So it is very important you tell your mind that, okay, I'm not able to sit at a stretch for a long time. I'm going to go away for 5-7 minutes, take a break and come back and do that, because that's my habit. And it's okay. That's how I perform and I am. Except that if you're sitting in a meeting or if you're doing a presentation where you need to be for a longer period of time. The second thing is, if you're enjoying what you're doing, if you're inspired to what you're doing, you will sit down and do it, right? And if you procrastinate, you're not going to see the results of your efforts. And thus, there will be no point at a certain time to make any efforts, right? So those are the things, sir, that I can really think of.
Yeah, well, ma'am, thank you. Well, students, once again, even though I have a pool of questions coming in, anybody who wants to raise it here, I'm just giving a minute for you to put forward the points, because it's a chance for you to speak out. I'm waiting here. I'm just in a pause, please. We are in a pause. It's not we are in a pause.
And any of you wants to just share, how did you feel during the session? Anything, I'm happy to, I would love to hear some voices of the students who are there on the call.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
I'm Vishwa from CAC second year.
Hi, Vishnu.
Vishwa, ma'am.
Vishwa. Hi, Vishwa. Sorry, Vishwa.
That's okay, ma'am. And the doubt I had was you gave some insights about being a team player and taking like positive feedback.
Yes.
So can you give me some more insights on how to be constructive in criticism, like how to give positive feedback and also how to take the feedback?
Sure. So, Vishwa, I will first talk about giving feedback, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You tell your mind that my intent of giving feedback is to make sure that the person improves, right? And the person is successful. You will always give feedback in a way which you just use the term that is constructive, right? That will tell them that what can you do about it, right? So you will, for example, if I want to tell someone, your presentation, while it was good, it needed to have more details. For example, I want to say that, right? So I wouldn't just go and so I will say exactly what I just said. I wouldn't go your present and say your presentation lacked details, right? What I will say is you've put efforts in your presentation. I can see that it was good, but if it had a little more details, it would have helped us influence the audience better, right? So what am I doing? I am trying to tell the person, giving a positive stroke, that things were okay, but if you could have done this a little more, you could have got a better result. So if you're telling your mind, Vishwa, that you want someone to improve, someone to do better, and you don't want to destroy someone with your feedback, you will give feedback in a way which will tell them what is it that they can do with your feedback to achieve what they want to achieve. Do I make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay. And when you take feedback, Vishwa, it's one of the most difficult things to do, right? When you
Yes, ma'am.
take feedback, you should again think that feedback is being given to make me better, right?
Mhm.
Feedback is not being given to criticize you. Again, some people may not have the best way of giving you feedback, right? And you have to give them the benefit of the doubt for that, right? Everybody is not very good at giving feedback. But if your mind thinks that anything that I get as feedback, I'm going to look at it as an opportunity to grow, to get better. If you put your growth mindset hat to feedback, right, you will always look at what can I find out from it to do better next time, right? And I have seen that people who get feedback, if they look at it as an opportunity to grow, they use the feedback that comes and go the next time do it better, right? Telling the person on the other side, listen, I heard you and I have improved. It also builds a lot of respect for that person in the other person's mind. That yes, that person understood what I was saying. That person respected my feedback and see how they have improved now, right? So it is both ways. Your intent to make someone successful, so you will give feet forward, not feedback, right? And feet forward, so what they can move ahead forward with that. And when you will take feedback, you will use it as an opportunity to learn. Wear your growth mindset hat to feedback. And if you are working on it, the other person will be extremely appreciative of that. Does it make sense, Vishwa?
Yes, ma'am. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And just another quick question before I go. Like, what are the main skills which I can develop if I want to be a potential candidate on Freshworks?
Okay. Again, I'm not the right person to tell you from a technical side, but I can tell you that at Freshworks, we look for people who are one, honest, right? Two, who are open to voice their ideas and opinions, right? And they are very candid to do that. Third is people who are adaptable to change, who are agile in their mind, right? Who tell us that, I have the capability of changing, I will do it fast, right? And fourth is, I'm generally going to make the statement, people who are generally very calm and nice and, people who are honest and who are who they are in an interview, right? Because it's been a long time that we've been interviewing, so we are able to make that difference, right? So people who are agile, people who look at learning, people who are honest, and people who are themselves in an interview, right? I have seen that that really helps from a culture fit standpoint at Freshworks.
Okay. Has the interview method kind of changed since everything has gone online? Like, how can we show our honesty and all that in a Zoom meeting, ma'am? Like, is there any tips for making a good impression on Zoom, maybe?
Nothing for me, Vishwa, has changed when I take interviews today also on Zoom, right? If I'm looking at someone and I'm talking, and from the look of it, I'm able to figure out if that person is really authentically telling me an answer, I can still do it whether it's in Zoom or whether it's in person, right? A lot of times, but in Zoom, right? Some of the things that you can do is make sure that the person who's listening to you, you keep acknowledging and understanding when they are speaking, right? So things like, yes, I completely understand. Absolutely, what you're saying makes sense. If you keep acknowledging when someone is speaking, that tells the other person that you're listening and understanding. So that's one, because a lot of times in interviews will ask you questions, and if you're not responding, they wouldn't get it that you're getting it, right? So that's one. The second one is when you're giving an answer on the other side, you should again say that, am I able to be clear to you? Do you want me to re-clarify? Do you want me to explain, etc.? Because you want to make sure that nothing around the network is hampering the way that they understand you, right? Again, the third one I would say is communication, which is simple and clear, right? So that remains offline, online, but communication which is simple and clear, and a little bit more use of your gestures, right? Nodding, looking at the person, letting the person know you're able to understand, using those word clues, a little bit more of your gestures in a virtual environment really helps. A lot of times we don't focus on our gestures and we focus on the knowledge, right? But in a virtual environment, you may need to focus a little bit more on your gestures. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
great, Vishwa. Vishwa,
Sir?
really appreciate your tendency. I think we can give weight for the next question.
Yeah,
Ma'am.
sure, sir. That's all from my side.
Yeah, great,
you,
Vishwa.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, one question that has come up in the chat box. I would like to recommend that, madam.
Yes, sir.
Hello, I strongly believe in first impression is the best impression. As a recruiter, what impression is being expected? And that question has been answered. I think you have told about the honesty component and how they have to go on for the clarification. Anything more you can add, ma'am?
Yes. So yes, this old fable of the fact that the first impression is the most important impression, and I'm not going to deny that they say, and there's a study which says that a recruiter actually makes a decision of hiring you or not hiring you in the first 90 minutes, in the first 90 seconds of their conversation with you, right? So the first time that you're talking to a person or responding to a question, you really have to be prepared and make sure you're putting your best foot forward. But I'm going to add another thing which I really practice and we've learned to practice as recruiters, especially in the virtual environment, is that sometimes, given all that is happening in the circumstances, the person may not be able to present their best foot forward in one go, right? So what we are doing today as interviewers is giving them more and more opportunity, nudging them to be able to put their best foot forward. So if I'm not able to understand something first time by asking you a question, I will again try, right? Because I know as a recruiter that in a virtual environment it's a little difficult, right? But remember, as an interviewee, remember your first 2 to 3 minutes of impression on an interviewer will be critical, right? And prepare for that. One of the things that you should do, and one of the very common questions is, tell me something about yourself. And I always say there is this technique of elevator pitch, which I've spoken to your institute at some point in time. There's a stick of an elevator pitch that you should think of and prepare that elevator pitch for yourself. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. I think it's going on interesting, and slowly we have to come to an end. I think one last question we can come. Mr. Aditya, will that do?
That's perfectly fine, Dr. Giri.
Yeah, okay. Ma'am, we'll try to finish off with this last question as it has come up in the chat box. And I think this also you have touched upon. Anyway, we would like to have a different paradigm. As of communication, if it should be more formal or a bit informal and a normal English.
Okay. I would highly give a thumbs up for normal English which is simple and which is able to convey your thoughts. do not try or stress yourself out to be more formal or use difficult English questions, because then your focus will go on that rather than really conveying your thought, right? And I'm again telling you, as recruiters, we are conscious of it, that we're not going to have English at everybody's strength, right? And every role doesn't need English to be the strength. Remember that, right? There are only certain roles which may need English to be a high strength, and it's not English, it's communication, right? And communication is just conveying your thoughts. So simple language, which is in which you are comfortable, right? You should use that language to convey your thoughts. And generally, English is our mostly organizations' common language that we have. So that's the one which exists. But use simple words and something that you're comfortable with. Again, between formal and informal, not English with just your presence in an interview. When you are going for an interview, it is a formal process. So be as formal as is comfortable for you, not over formal, because a lot of organizations today are very free and very informal. Like in our organization, there's no dress code. So everybody comes dressed in smart casuals and very not very informally, but dressed formally and informally, a little between that, right? But when you are giving in an interview, you should make sure that you are casual and formal, and there's a good mix of that, not over formal. And even in communication, something which is simple and comfortable for you is more than enough.
Okay, okay. So nice of you, ma'am. Well, we would like to come to an end of this wonderful session, even though it can be prolonged. On the formal side, I would like to make a very, very thankful note to Mrs. Harshita Chowdhury on behalf of Saranand College of Engineering, the management, the principal, heads of various departments, and for faculty fraternity. Thank you very much, Mrs. Harshita.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope it was useful for all of you to spend
Definitely. See, everything is useful. As you rightly pointed out, it's a useful thing. Next, our thanks is to Mr. Aditya. And I would like to point it out, friends, student friends especially. This particular session was planned in a very short span, and Aditya proved that, yes, it's capable of getting things done rather than talking about it. So thanks, Mr. Aditya, in trying to make our communication a few days back into a reality, and that too as quickly as possible under the prevailing constraints, conditions, and other things is concerned. Our sincere thanks to you also.
Absolute pleasure, sir.
And of course, it will not be ending up with this thanks alone. The association will be expected to grow in an exponential manner too.
Looking forward to it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aditya, and last but not the, yes. Yeah, madam, you had a point to say?
Aditya and sir, if there are any follow-up questions, you can just shoot them out to me. I'll be happy to just respond to you, Aditya, and you can do it to the students.
Sure. And coming to the point, the students' fraternity. Dear friends, I really, really appreciate your initiative, because we wanted to try this as a mode wherein how good you are in knowing what is the need of the hour and trying to respond accordingly. This is what we wanted to test out, and we are very happy that 90% of you had turned out, even though it is not a 100% expected crowd. 90% of you have turned out, and that's fantastic. We appreciate your patience. We appreciate that you will have to carry away something into your heads and something into your thoughts for implementations into some reality-oriented actions. So exposure is a very important thing, and today's exposure is something which has been into a corporate level of presentation on what is expected in a company. The HR spoke on various aspects on how to take things forward, how and what are the skills you should develop, interpersonal skills, how and where that communication comes into picture. And I was impressed with one important thing. When there was a when there was something scribbled up by an accidental way by Mrs. Sophia, how quickly she was able to respond and positively say that, yes, I learned something, and keeping on learning is a very important point. And most important takeaway from me in this lecture is learning is a never-ending process, and learning is one of the biggest qualities which is being expected in the challenging world. I hope I'm right, ma'am.
Absolutely, sir. I think this is the only reality in today's world.
Yeah, okay. In this aspect, and coming to the point of time management, we do try to depart now, but we are always there to take in your questions. You can just put on your questions. We have time and we can just moderate. And thanks a lot, madam. In spite of your challenging situations, you have given us this valuable time. And I would like to really thank your family too for sparing you on this Sunday afternoon, which is a very, very essential thing for family world is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you, Harshita. Thank you so
Yes,
much, Dr. Giri.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, students. We will catch up later. Huh? Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much. And
everyone. Thank you.
you can disperse, please. Thank you.
Bye-bye.